Hi, for this week's discussion, I chose prompt one. The greatest opportunity and then the main obstacle between integrating Christian faith and developmental psychology. And I feel as though the greatest obstacle in integrating Christian faith and developmental psychology is actually found within the Miller text. And I'm talking specifically about one statement that occurs on page 6. And it says, "A psychologist holds a mirror rather than a telescope." And again, that was in Miller 2016, page 6. And what I like about that statement is that it's very true, and that although psychologists are often looking to examine new things that have happened, things that have happened throughout history, experimenting, and as mentioned in the text again, over time changing the experiments based on how the theories have evolved. They're still looking within themselves as well. They're not having a base or a solid foundation where they can go back and look. It's all intrinsic for the most part. And something that kind of ties with that kind of supports the way that psychologists are able to look intrinsically and develop this framework for studying developmental psychology is actually found. I have 2 Timothy 3, verses 16 and 17. And they say that all scripture is given by the integration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, and that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished through all good works. And again, that was 2 Timothy 3, 16 and 17. And what I like about that verse is that it kind of ties together the obstacle and the opportunity all in one. In that when the scripture is given by God and we have all of this doctrine and reproof, that some things will need to be looked at again. Some things are already done the way God has wanted them to. Sin has not encountered the picture. But other things, like many of the subjects that psychologists do study, they have been tainted by sin. And another scripture that I really like that emphasizes what kind of an opportunity people have in studying developmental psychology is Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6. And this is the English Standard Version versus the King James Version for the 2 Timothy. And the Proverbs verse says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." So basically, people who are studying psychology might interact with certain things where sin has entered the picture, different evolutionary theories, different things that have happened over time where people might want to study them or test and see if things have changed. And what the Proverbs verse goes back to is that this is a great opportunity to not just lean on your own understanding or intrinsic values, but to trust in God and trust that his works are there for a reason, and that we can look back at those throughout studying the Bible, studying developmental psychology, whether or not they're being integrated in the moment, that there always is that opportunity to integrate them because of what God has given us. So there definitely is the obstacle of having psychologists looking within themselves versus everything that God has given us. But there is also such a wider opportunity available for those that are acknowledging it and willing to work with all of the great things that God has given us.